Alrighty, Serenity is back for match number 2 of her Duelist Kingdom run. Her first video did really well, so here she comes now. There were a few alterations. We've added White Magician Pikeru, since it's a different card that we haven't seen from any other duelists yet and still does her life point recovery. We added Wing Weaver as a major buffer, which requires 2 tributes. And what else did we add? I'm sure we added something else as well. Anyway, I was going through comments at the end of last match. So we got Bastion's test run done. Serenity's drawn Watchdog. She's got Fire Princess, Polymerization, Squall of Bewitchment, and her Lady Soldier. That Lady Soldier, that gets to stay in because it's a 2100, no one else uses it, and it's a strength buffer for a deck that only requires 1 tribute, and it's like a I will protect you, Serenity. It's one of those sorts of monsters. Penumbral Soldier Lady. So yes, White Magician Pikeru is now in her deck as well. Wing Weaver is in. I added something else, but I forgot what it was. She might draw it. SCH292 says, I think Serenity's deck should be more of a life point gain deck and burn deck. Yep, her deck should be a mixture of Taya and Rebecca. After all, she recovered healed from her eye surgery. When we come up against... Oh, there's Wing Weaver. When we come up to the Battle City and GX eras, we'll put together Serenity's deck again and we'll buff it up, because if we add too much for a Duelist Kingdom deck, she's like for a life point burner deck especially. If we give her a proper life point burner strategy, she is going to absolutely slaughter Duelist Kingdom. There's going to be no competitiveness. With the deck that she's got, it should remain competitive. It should be a very, very tight match against all the duelists, which is what we want. We don't really want, you know, absolute... Oh, there's Dark Hole. We still want the matches to be somewhat competitive. That's where some of the series have that we've done, while they've been fun, they only lost like 1 or 2 times, and most matches were over in like minutes. As Starboy is to the field, 1250 attacks. So Mako with Umi. There's Witch of the Black Forest. It's a useful card for Serenity. We didn't put Fairy Injection Lily in. Fairy Injection Lily going up against Duelist Kingdom, even though you need a lot of life points, no Duelist Kingdom monster is going to get around that 3000 hitting mark, and they're just going to get absolutely torn to bits. So Terra King Salmon at 2600. There's White Magician Pikeru. Oh, we did add Waterpon. It's just I could picture Serenity carrying that thing around. And so what's this? Deck to hand. So she's still got Dark Lord Marie in there as well to add as another life point. So now if White Magician Pikeru and Fire Princess are on the field at the same time, that's a deadly combo, but neither one of them are like so strong offensively that the Duelist Kingdom decks couldn't beat them in a head-to-head battle. If we add stuff in like Gravity Bind and Level Limit Area B, that combo suddenly becomes a lot more devastating. That's what we'll do with Battle City and GX. We'll start adding in cards like Gravity Bind and all that. So Serenity's strategy will become to summon White Magician Pikeru, put Fire Princess on the field. Maybe a Black Magician Curran would do her deck as well. That's a strategy that I used to use. White Magician Pikeru and Black Magician Curran. Load the field, so like, because White Magician Pikeru gives you life points due to how many monsters are on your side of the field. And I would just sit there with Level Limit Area B and Gravity Bind and just sit there and camp. And then I would have Raging Flame Sprite, which again is a very Serenity-like card as well. I reckon if Serenity became like a top duelist and got some of that dual fire in her, I reckon Raging Flame Sprite would be a card that she would use. And Raging Flame Sprite, if you've got Gravity Bind and Level Limit Area B on the field, Raging Flame Sprite can suddenly become very difficult to get rid of. Alejandro Fernandez says, maybe for the time being, just put the deck list in the description. It's not fancy, but it's accessible for anyone who watches the video. That is an idea as well. I could put deck lists in descriptions. I haven't got any deck lists typed out though, so I would have to do that first, but I'll have to probably do that on a different day now that I'm going in to study game development on Tuesdays, Thursdays and Fridays. That will take up mostly a day. I got home today from game development. I fell asleep for like 5 hours and am now struggling for time to actually get these out on the usual time that I upload them. I'll only be able to do two duels today, Serenity and Bastions. There's a time code on them and it was both quite long. And I was like, oh, I can't do 3. I'll be back there again tomorrow to end my first week of game development. We did use some pretty cool software so far. White Magician Picari with Wonder Wand. What a combo. I like White Magician Picari for Serenity. I reckon that's a very suiting card for her. So the software, we're using Unity to build games. Unreal Engine has been thrown around as well, but I think the college's license has it for Unity. Unity's still pretty good though, so it's a good one to start with. I can learn both at some point as well. For the 3D animation and modeling stuff, we're using a software called Maya. There's a name before it as well. Is it Desktop? No, Desktop Maya doesn't sound right. What was it? Maya. Autodesk. Autodesk Maya. It's shortened to Maya usually. But yeah, that does animation, modeling, and rendering tools to bring your vision to life. It's free for us because we're doing it, well, the college pays for it, or for like the license for it, but Maya, that's not a cheap software. That's very, very expensive. But it is very, very good as well. So Lady Panther was destroyed. Mako's got Aqua Spirit on the field. Aqua Spirit's a good card. Kanan the Swords Mistress. I will fight on your side, Serenity. We will never surrender. She'll be alright if she can get Wingweaver to the field. So yeah, we were doing a little bit of 3D modeling today, just sort of opening the software and just seeing what functions it has. Some tutorials are on there as well. The tutorials on there are actually pretty good. And for Unity, well, for video gaming, you do need to learn a bit of coding and programming. So that's what we were doing on Tuesday. I'm new to all of it as well. It's all a first-time thing, but even the teachers said it took them many months to get the hang of it. So you know, day by day, one day at a time, as they say. As Aqua Spirit goes in for an attack. Now that Mystical Elf, Aqua Spirit will be able to force that into attack mode. There's Lady Assailant of Flames. And there it is, Mystical Elf now is in attack mode. It was added for a defensive buffer for Serenity, but at the moment it's coming back to do more damage and good. Alejandro Fernandez also says, will you be making like a mini guide for Dark Duel Stories once Early Days comes out? Especially in terms of combining cards. I've looked around and there is just nothing out there that explains the mechanics. For example, Plants plus Warrior should give Bean Soldier, I believe, but sometimes it just doesn't work and I simply lose a monster. I've never played Dark Duel Stories before. If the monster fusing thing is like Forbidden Memories, like it sounds like from that description, yes, I could. Even with Forbidden Memories, some of the online stuff for that game is very dicey as well. But I've never played Dark Duel Stories, but if it functions the same, then yes, the fusions, I would probably be able to show how most of them work. With Forbidden Memories as well, sometimes monsters that are warriors, they have a second fusion typing with them, and so does some of the plants. So like, what's one for example? So like a Pyro and a Beast would usually make Flame Cerberus. But you can also use monsters like Flame Manipulator, for example. That's a spellcaster, it's not a Pyro. But that can also be used as like a fire fusion. And Flame Manipulator and a Beast would still make Flame Cerberus, for example. Warriors and plants generally would make a Bean Soldier. But if some of the warriors have like a spellcaster fusion effect as well, it's Forbidden Memories seems to be a bit more forgiving. Duelist of the Roses wasn't like that. Duelist of the Roses didn't fuse like Forbidden Memories did. But Dark Duel Stories, I've never played it, but I could do. I'm actually really keen for Yu-Gi-Oh! Early days, as Serenity has lost the first match here. It was a competitive match though, but it is a best out of 3 on this one, so Serenity could get back into this as Prevention Star. Alejandro Fernandez also says, one thing about Destiny Hero Malicious, if you only put one in the deck, it's basically useless, since its effect is that it can banish itself from the grave to special summon another copy of itself from the deck. Ah, okay. That's for Asta's cards. That's something to keep in mind. Midnight DB says, I'm curious, what the logic is behind Dark Scorpions for Raphael? Just to give him more monsters. His Guardians are difficult to summon, they're difficult to use, and there's not enough of them. Unless we're going to like heavily double them all up, which we could do, but then like you've got the chance of like just drawing 3 of the worst one possible in every duel. The Dark Scorpions for Raphael, it's just to give him an extra option to summon, and so we can see some more cards. Raphael will still have all of his Guardian cards and all of their equipped cards. The Dark Scorpions, I don't know of any character that actually uses them, and they're cool monsters. It's just to give us another few different cards to view, even though he didn't use them in the anime. Otherwise, Raphael's deck is very, very hard to reach 40 cards. Unless we just double up on everything, which just makes the deck a bit lame. Oh, kitty cat. She's got the watch cat. So the Dark Scorpions and the Guardians, they don't really work well together, but the Guardian cards that Raphael used, as cool as they are, they're just not good. They're just not good cards, just to put it blunt. They are very, 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 very difficult cards, and they're not strong either. A lot of them are very, very weak, so they're just going to get easily cleared off the field. Whereas some of the Dark Scorpions, there's a couple with 1800 defense, 1800 attack. There's just a few of them there that just give a bit more of a buffer to Raphael's deck. And BC Lagny says, didn't the creature of Yu-Gi-Oh die permanently too? That's for the Cyrus. I'm not sure what the creature of Yu-Gi-Oh is. Didn't the creature of Yu-Gi-Oh die prematurely too? So I don't know what the context is behind that. Doesn't Zane kick the bucket in GX as well? I believe that GX was controversial because it was on 4Kids Entertainment, and Yu-Gi-Oh! GX is actually quite dark. It's actually a very dark series, like some of the stuff that happens in it. So I believe there was some controversy surrounding it when it was released, whether it was suitable for kids as... Watch cat. Haha, holds the fort. 1800 defense. There's bad reaction to Simuchi. Midnight DB, I rented this game once when it was new. Remember renting games? Yes, back in the day as well. You used to be able to rent them from Blockbuster Video as well over here. Because it's now a Dome Cafe, but it used to be a Blockbuster when I was a kid. And on their shelf, they had Final Fantasy VI on PS1. And says, when I saw it didn't play like the actual game, I returned it immediately. Interesting to watch, so maybe one day I'll try it again. Duelist of the Roses has a bit of a learning curve, but it's a pretty easy game to get the hang of. But yes, it is very different. If you only like the traditional Yu-Gi-Oh game, Duelist of the Roses will come as a bit of a strange one, but it is very fun. Very tactical as well. And Midnight DB says Noah had 2 different decks. The random cards he used against Kaiba was a deck themed around creation of the world, starting with early gods like Ares and Chiron the Mage, advancing to several divine cleansings, a deluge being the flood of Noah's Ark, and Darkhole just being a board wipe, going through the dinosaurs, Giant Rex, the Ice Age, and Last Tusk Mammoth. Oh, I never noticed that. I never noticed that when I was watching the anime. But that is 100% true. Noah was going through like the ages of time. Then moving into the modern futuristic era with Gradius, and finally ending at the apocalypse with the descent of a divine being, Shinato. I never noticed that when I was watching the anime. That's actually really cool. When Yugi took over the duel, Noah switched out the creation deck for his spirit deck. Midnight DB at 14 minutes and 3. Shizuka's deck is a struggle to make without it looking like a mesh of Anzu and Rebecca's. This is one I came up with if it helps. This is for Shizuka. Oh, is that Serenity's name in the anime? Okay, so we've got quite a lot of similar cards in it. Thunder Nyan Nyan and Dream Sprite, they could be good additions. Soul of Purity and Light as well. For a Battle City run, I think Serenity's deck's going to be easier to make because we can make it stronger. It's just I don't want to make her deck too strong, as Serenity's defense is held here. She's got her Penumbral Lady Warrior, whatever it's called, out there. It's just I don't want to make Serenity's deck too OP for Duelist Kingdom, because some of the past series that we've done have just wiped Duelist Kingdom flat. So at least Serenity is being competitive while not being too overpowered for the moment. Chorus of Sanctuary, that's a good card. Graceful Charity I can't have in multiplayer because it's banned. That is the one thing. In multiplayer on this, even though it's not a ranked match, you can't have banned cards, which is a real shame, because some of the real world decks have a lot of banned cards. I'm not against it though, because when you use banned cards in multiplayer matches, well, I mean, you can't use them in this, but you can use them against like the AI, against like in the story, but when you play against the AI on this, nearly every deck has Snatch Steal, and it is the most irritating card, because like you basically just steal your opponent's monster despite getting 1,000 life points every turn. Like, it's just such a broken card. As Mako now in defense, Serenity might pick up a win here. She'll go 1-1 with Mako. I mean, 1,400 with Water Omotics. I kept some of those in just to keep her deck structured for Duelist Kingdom. Because, remember, for Duelist Kingdom, a lot of like Battle City and GX cards, they weren't released, so I was somewhat going by that as well, even though I don't think Lady Ninja Yay was released around Duelist Kingdom times. I know Serenity has probably been the biggest challenge so far, but we're seeing competitive matches, and that's what we want. A deal with the Dark Ruler. That looks like Dark Ruler Hades. But we're seeing a good match here. It's 1-1, Serenity and Mako. Could put Sangan and... She has got Witch of the Black Forest, and then she can play Sandwich. Solemn Wishes as well. Gift of the Mystical Elf. Midnight DB also said, mind you, I did build this with the Virtual World Arc in mind, so it might be too strong for Duelist Kingdom. That's the thing with Duelist Kingdom. It is hard to design later character decks for, just because the Duelist Kingdom decks are so plain. As, oh, Fiend Kraken. Classic Mako monster. And Spirit of the Harp will defend Serenity's side of the field. And Midnight DB says, the anime changed the way the flying elephant part played out. In the manga, Keith activated Fissure, which would have triggered Flying Elephant's effect. The effect of the real-life card is based on the manga's version. Flying Elephant's a fun card. It's difficult to win with it, but it is a very fun card. And the last comment I have is also from Midnight DB, and it's on the Bandit Keith Gets Revenge. Just that fun duel I just threw together. That was just for the fun of it, but if you told me Keith defeated Pegasus, I might not believe it. If you told me Keith beat Pegasus using ABC, I'd be like, duh. The ABCs, obviously, yeah, they're too strong for Pegasus's Duelist Kingdom deck. That duel was just for fun. It was mainly because I wanted to have Joey. I wanted to have Keith I wanted to see how much I could boost a monster up, like, to see if this game caps at like a certain number for attack points. They got to 48,800 and I ran out of ways to strengthen it. I just uploaded it against Joey. I was like, Keith can get some revenge. And then I was like, you know what, we'll do one more match and we'll do against Pegasus and we'll just absolutely obliterate him. And the turn count, because I was setting up on the Joey one to make that scenario happen, it got to 66 turns, and I could throw in the Star Wars reference of Execute Order 66. Alright, Serenity. The all-seeing white tiger. That suits her because after her eye operation, she was able to see. And she'd like a tiger. Nice, fluffy tiger. Oh, speaking of fluffy tiger, it just got tributed for Elemental Mistress Doriado, which... has its own sort of theme of a deck as well. It's a GX card. I just put it into Serenity's deck just to give us something. Elemental Mistress Doriado isn't strong, but... And I believe that attack mode with Lady Ninja Yay, I believe that may have been a misclick. As I did say, the Joy-Cons for our Switches here. My Switch is the respawn one, but I lend it to the guys when they're recording, but the Joy-Cons are buggered. They're not durable. They're not durable things, those Joy-Cons. As it looks like Mako, he's got that Aqua Spirit on the field again, and Serenity is getting overpowered here. Mako was one of the better duelists for Duelist Kingdom. Her next match will be against Rex. Rex, she might be able to get over Rex. I reckon Serenity will go about half and half. Oh, watch cat. She gets her kitty cat back. 1800 defense. Oh, the Aqua Spirit's on the field as well. You get that kitty cat. You can picture that cat walking past Serenity going, meow, and Serenity being like, kitty cat, and then smiling. That's Serenity's like purity. Yeah. Kitty cat. I have a cat. I think he's outside at the moment because it was like 39 degrees Celsius here again. It was another really warm day. And at night time, the cat likes to just hang out outside because it's cooler. And the Forgiving Maiden. There's also 2000 defense. But that Aqua Spirit is really going to make the difference here. If this was against anyone else, and even Mako, and he didn't have Aqua Spirit, this would be a completely different game right now. It's just Aqua Spirit's effect, which is really doing a lot of damage here. And now that the kitty cat is in attack mode, it doesn't have any attack points. Which makes no sense, man. Have you ever been scratched by a cat? It hurts. Their claws are lethal. And the Forgiving Maiden at 2000 defense, that again is going to get switched to attack mode from Aqua Spirit. I have Aqua Spirit on card. It was one of the first cards that I ever had. I never realized how good it actually was, though. Then there it goes again. That effect is really good. That is a really good effect. Water Emotics, Fire Princess. For GX, definitely. Maybe Battle City as well. As soon as Level Limit Area B and Gravity Bind go in Serenity's deck, she's going to cook everything in her path. In fact, I might even build Serenity's deck around the deck that I used to use with the White Magician, Pikaru. When I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Battle City Academy, whatever that game was called. The one that was based around GX and Battle City. Duel Academy. That was the strategy I used. And I got my life points on that game to 99999, and that's where they capped. Well, it was a competitive match. Serenity has picked up a 2-1 loss, but it was a very competitive match, and that's what we want to see. Wins and losses are just cosmetic. We saw a good duel today, and Serenity, I reckon her deck will win a few matches in this, though. Especially her first match with Weevil, when Weevil won it with 50 points remaining. They're the sorts of duels that we want to see. Competitive. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and thanks for leaving all the comments as well. Wherever you are in the world, stay safe, take care, farewell.